It's 5:14 a.m. You aren't awake because of your alarm. You're awake because the glass in your bedroom windows is vibrating with a frequency so low it feels like it's trying to shake your bones loose from your skin. You reach for your phone, but the screen is a graveyard of no service icons. The Wi-Fi is dead. The GPS is spinning. Then the screen turns a violent shade of crimson. A wireless emergency alert, the kind usually reserved for incoming ballistic missiles, flashes a single chilling instruction: evacuate all coastal areas. Total extinction. Event imminent. You walk to the window. You live in a high-rise far from the shore, but the horizon is no longer dark. It's glowing with a dull, angry orange hue, like a sunset that's happening in the wrong direction. A wall of steam is rising miles into the stratosphere, blotting out the stars. This isn't a movie. This isn't a viral marketing stunt. The fictional nightmare of the rumbling has just become our physical reality. 585,000 colossal titans have just been released from their slumber, and according to the ticking clock of physics, you have exactly 4 days before the world becomes a blank slate. As a species, we are arrogant. We've spent decades imagining how we'd handle an alien invasion or a zombie outbreak. We have nuclear silos, supersonic stealth jets, and bunker-busting missiles that can crack a mountain. We assume that because we understand the laws of the universe, we can control them. But today we are running the ultimate simulation. We are taking the 585,000 titans of lore and dropping them into the cold, hard laws of modern thermodynamics and geology. And the science leads to a terrifying conclusion. You aren't going to be stepped on. You're going to die long before a titan ever reaches your street. To understand why the rumbling is unstoppable, we first have to understand the impossible biology of a colossal titan. In the anime, these giants are 60 meters tall. In reality, a 60-meter-tall, human-shaped creature should be a physical impossibility. This is due to the square cube law. If you double an object's height, you triple its surface area, but you increase its volume and weight eightfold. A 60-meter human would be 10 times taller than a giraffe, but their weight would be so immense, roughly 15,000 to 20,000 tons, that their own leg bones would shatter like glass under the pressure of standing up. However, the lore gives us a loophole. Titan flesh is unusually light and porous. Even so, to move that much mass at a marching speed of 50 kilometers per hour requires a metabolic rate that defies imagination. Think of a titan as a biological steam engine. To generate the energy required for 585,000 giants to walk across the globe, they must be burning through internal energy at a rate equivalent to a small nuclear reactor. And where does that waste energy go? Heat. In the story, colossal titans constantly vent steam. But in our world, with our atmosphere, this isn't just fog. It is superheated vapor, reaching temperatures of over 500 degrees Celsius. Now, imagine 585,000 of these nuclear radiators standing shoulder to shoulder in a line that stretches for hundreds of miles. They aren't just walking, they are pushing a solid wall of air heated to the point of plasma ahead of them. This is the first kill zone. As the rumbling approaches a coastline, the air temperature for 10 miles inland spikes instantly. If you are standing on your balcony, 5 miles from the front line, the moisture in your eyeballs will turn to steam in seconds. Your curtains, your furniture, and your own skin will spontaneously combust. The first casualties of the rumbling don't get crushed. They are flash-fried by a moving atmospheric ignition event. But the rumbling doesn't start on land. It starts in the ocean. To reach the world's continents, these titans must walk across the seabed. And this is where the global catastrophe truly begins. When a 500-degree biological furnace enters the water, it doesn't just cool down. It triggers a localized explosion of steam. Multiply this by 585,000. As the titans march across the Atlantic or Pacific, they are dumping terajoules of thermal energy directly into the ocean's upper layers. This leads to a phenomenon atmospheric scientists call a hypercane. Normally, hurricanes are fueled by warm water, usually around 26 degrees Celsius. The titans are jacking that temperature up to the boiling point. This would create a theoretical superstorm with wind speeds exceeding 800 kilometers per hour, fast enough to strip the paint off a jet and level entire cities before a titan even makes landfall. While the wall of titans is trampling one continent, The rest of the world is being battered by biblical floods and winds that make a Category 5 hurricane look like a summer breeze. The steam they release into the sky doesn't just vanish, it enters the water cycle, creating scalding acid rain that poisons the earth and destroys the very crops humanity would need to survive the aftermath. Let's say you were one of the lucky ones. You were inland, you had a deep reinforced concrete bunker, and you had an oxygen supply to survive the heat wave. You think you can wait it out. You forgot about the ground beneath your feet. A 60-meter Titan might be light by Titan standards, but it still weighs more than a fully loaded naval destroyer. When 585,000 of them march in a rhythmic, synchronized line, they create a phenomenon known as seismic loading. Every step sends a shockwave through the Earth's crust. As the line approaches your city, the ground will begin to vibrate with the intensity of a magnitude 8.0 earthquake. But unlike a normal earthquake, which lasts for seconds, this one lasts for hours as the line passes over. This triggers soil liquefaction. The vibrations shake the groundwater into the soil until the ground itself loses all structural integrity and begins to act like a liquid. Your bunker isn't a shield. It's a bubble in a glass of water. Foundations of skyscrapers don't just crack, the buildings simply tip over or sink into the earth as if they were placed in a swamp. Roads buckle and turn into canyons. Gas mains snap, turning every city into a series of massive fireballs. By the time the Titans actually arrive at your location, there is nothing left to step on. They are simply flattening the rubble of a civilization that was already shaken to death by their approach. It's day 2. The first continent has been wiped off the map. The world's remaining military forces, the U.S. Air Force, the Chinese Navy, the combined might of NATO, have mobilized for the most desperate stand in human history. We have the technology. We have a 10 Warthogs with 30mm cannons that can shred tank armor. We have F-35s with precision-guided munitions. We have the M1 Abrams. In the anime, they fought with swords and primitive cannons. Surely, an AGM-114 Hellfire missile to the back of the neck would end a Titan instantly. Scientifically, yes. A modern missile doesn't just poke a hole, it creates a supersonic shockwave that would atomize the nape, the Titan's only weak point. If we had to kill 10 Titans, or even 100, we would win in minutes. But we aren't fighting 100. We are fighting 585,000. This is a problem of saturation. To stop the rumbling before it covers the Earth in its lore-accurate 4-day window, we would need to successfully execute a kill shot on the nape of over 6,000 Titans every single hour, without a single miss for 96 hours straight. Our pilots have to contend with the steam. A jet engine needs oxygen and cool air to function. Flying into the 500-degree steam plumes generated by the rumbling would cause jet engines to flame out or seize up instantly. Our drones would lose visibility. Our heat-seeking missiles would be blinded by the sheer infrared noise of 500,000 giants. We would be fighting an enemy where 99.9% damage is equivalent to 0% progress. If you blow off a Titan's head, it keeps walking while it regrows. If you blow off its legs, it crawls until they regenerate. Unless you destroy that 1-meter-wide strip of flesh on the back of the neck, you haven't stopped anything. The military realizes they are trying to stop a tsunami with a garden hose. So, they turn to the final option, the nuclear arsenal. We launch, hundreds of tactical warheads rain down on the marching line. The results are horrifying. A nuclear fireball will vaporize a Titan instantly. Regeneration cannot fix being turned into gas. We could clear a gap 5 miles wide in the line. But at what cost? To stop the entire rumbling, we would have to detonate so many nuclear warheads along our own coastlines and plains that we would effectively irradiate the planet ourselves. We would be destroying the human race to save it. And even then, the Titans are spread out in a line. A nuke might kill 1,000 Titans, but the ones 10 miles to the left and right just keep walking through the radioactive fallout as if nothing happened. They don't have DNA that can be mutated by radiation. They are biological anomalies. The nukes would kill us, but they wouldn't stop the march. By day 4, the rhythmic thumping finally stops. The Titans have reached the other side of the world. Eren Yeager's blank slate has been achieved. But if you think the survivors can just walk out and start over, you don't understand the chemistry of the atmosphere, The rumbling has just trampled every forest on Earth. That's billions of tons of carbon-capturing biomass turned into mulch. At the same time, every chemical plant, every oil refinery, and every city has been crushed and burned, releasing a toxic cocktail of heavy metals, plastics, and greenhouse gases into the air. But the real killer is the ash. The Titans have kicked up so much pulverized concrete and dust into the stratosphere that they have triggered a volcanic winter. Sunlight can no longer reach the surface. Within weeks, the global temperature drops by 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Photosynthesis stops. The oceans, once boiled by the Titan's feet, are now covered in a layer of toxic soot. The food chain collapses at its very foundation. There are no crops. There is no livestock. The blank slate isn't a beautiful field of grass. It's a dark, frozen, toxic wasteland where the very air is thick with the dust of the old world. When we watch Attack on Titan, we see the rumbling as a metaphorical judgment or a grand fantasy battle. But when fictional threats meet the cold, unyielding laws of physics, the story changes. The rumbling isn't a war we could win with better strategy or more advanced technology. It is a planetary reset button. It is a biological event that ignores the rules of thermodynamics, forcing our world to react in ways that lead to our inevitable extinction. It is a reminder that our civilization, as advanced as it seems, is built on a very fragile set of assumptions about how the Earth behaves. If these 585,000 giants appeared tomorrow, the story of humanity doesn't end with a heroic sacrifice or a last-minute miracle. It ends with a deafening silence, a sky filled with ash, and a world that has been flattened into a graveyard. The rumbling is more than just a giant's foot. It is the physics of extinction. If you found this scientific autopsy of the rumbling fascinating, subscribe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next simulation.